Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening to celebrate our book launch. Manufacturers, makers, have been the innovators and entrepreneurs who have reinvented the world over and over. Illinois has a 320-year manufacturing tradition. Our makers have been serving societal needs since the earliest documented Illinois manufacturer in 1702. Our state is a manufacturing powerhouse by any measure: output, employment, number of companies. There's well over 12,000 manufacturers calling Illinois home and employing over 590,000 people. And 99% of these companies are small and mid-sized manufacturers, locally and family-owned in every community across our state. Made in Illinois is a tradition with countless stories to tell. I recently visited Plant Cases, a Chicago manufacturer celebrating their 100th year. This fourth-generation company has remained a leader in personal luggage and cases since the current owner's great-grandfather immigrated and began applying his entrepreneurial talents. There are so many stories like this that bring to life the Illinois manufacturing tradition. And here we stand today, facing a crossroads moment as we navigate out of the pandemic. This past year has carried our emotions in all directions. It's been fatiguing, it's been frustrating, it's been heartbreaking. In business, in manufacturing, crossroads moments are also times of outstanding leadership, innovation, and reinvention. Manufacturing has proven time and again how it leads the way. This time is no different. So it is an honor to introduce our book, Made in Illinois, a modern playbook for manufacturers to compete and win. This is a companion guide of best practices, tips, and insights to stir new thinking and to spark improvement and innovation. The book is designed to be a working tool that builds a pathway to daily improvement in manageable and bite-sized topics. It's meant to encourage us to harness our amazing manufacturing tradition and to take action to ensure our competitive future. I'm David Boulay, president of IMEC, the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center. We exist to ignite manufacturing excellence and global competitiveness for Illinois. We do so through sharing knowledge, providing technical assistance and resources that help companies and their workforce succeed. As part of a U.S. Department of Commerce program called Manufacturing Extension Partnership, we have a deep commitment to build from our maker traditions and ensure a vibrant manufacturing sector. I grew up in a family-owned small business. If even only through osmosis at the dinner table in my youth, I learned about the challenges and the excitement of small business ownership. Its leaders wearing many hats to ensure success that indeed puts food on the table for their employees and families. I've had the opportunity to work in large manufacturers as well. I learned how fantastic name brands bring massive scale to serving society's needs and ignite our senses in the way they make things. IMEC's core purpose has harnessed my lived experience and passion, and I'm excited to share this evening with you. We'll spend our time gaining perspectives about manufacturing, competing and winning, and the book. But before we get into discussion, a little background for how the book came to be. It started with sketching out some ideas related to our brand strategy. We partnered up with Michelle and Roderick Kelly from K&L Storytellers to help us brainstorm. They were incredible to work with and helped spark ideas, concepts, and potential storylines. Around mid-February of 2020, it was maybe about 3 or 4 inches of snow, and we had a working session that started to crystallize our direction. Then the pandemic hit. Like you, it was all hands on deck. The priority was to focus on our team's health and safety and to figure out how to respond and recover. For us, it also meant a focus on solutions for manufacturers, solutions such as a helpline, a recovery guide, being part of a medical essential equipment task force, content generation, webinars, among other things. We quickly realized an obvious need to answer some fundamental questions all of us were trying to figure out. How will I navigate my company through this? How will we rebound and reinvent the post-pandemic economy? we all could see things would not be the same. We also recognize that we created massive content through the lessons learned from our team, partners, board, and manufacturers. Our responsibility was to pull it together into a guide, a playbook. We did so by organizing best practices with the U.S. Department of Commerce Baldrige framework in mind. This model focuses on processes and systems that ensure continuous improvement and the key drivers for any organization to succeed in the long term. These key drivers are leaders creating strategy to serve the customers, and how the workforce applies their knowledge and talent and the technology to create effective and efficient processes and products to produce results. We put all this together in what I'd call very shorthand, 3 sections in our book: people, performance, and mindset. So here we are about a year after that snowstorm and that working session, and hopefully at the backside of the pandemic, we have a book. And like every useful tool, it takes time to get that final product right. And we had, it feels like 116 different versions, 4 different covers, multiple titles, all with the goal of making the book relevant and useful. The timing is fitting. IMEC is celebrating 25 years of working with manufacturers across Illinois. We have conducted over 15,280 projects in that time. I can tell you that team's passion for this work, their sense of duty, and commitment to collaborate are found on every page in this book. It's also the start of our commitment to implement another 15,000 projects for Illinois manufacturers to compete and win. Made in Illinois is written for leaders of all types, particularly leaders in small and mid-sized companies. It's written by industry experts and manufacturing leaders. It's peers sharing insight with peers. And did you know tomorrow is World Book Day, which was created by the United Nations in 1995 as a worldwide celebration of books and reading. So we can celebrate with this book as a guide to keeping Made in Illinois strong. With that, let's get into some conversations. Illinois is blessed with amazing associations. We have the Technology and Manufacturing Association, the Valley Industrial Association, and the Illinois Manufacturers Association as examples, serving our manufacturers so well. I appreciate the deep partnerships we have enjoyed over the years. So we start this evening with my good friend, Mark Denzler, President and CEO of one of those associations, the Illinois Manufacturers Association. Mark and the IMA has a unique connection point to this book. They too wrote a Made in Illinois book. Mark couldn't be live with us this evening, so here's our pre-recorded discussion. Listen in. So Mark, you and I have worked together over the years. I've always enjoyed your insights and traditions, current events, and what might be coming. We often talk about sports to start with, but we always get into manufacturing. So let's start by situating this book into recent events. There's been current attention on U.S. manufacturing. The sector is performing incredibly well. And in these challenging times, manufacturing leading the way through the pandemic as often manufacturing does. So I'd like you to reflect on the past year for us. What's impressed you most about how manufacturers have navigated the pandemic?
Well, thank you, Dave. Enjoyed being with you. It's truly been amazing over the last year. A lot of people have certainly 2020 with the pandemic has been a challenge. But we have seen manufacturers step to the forefront like they have at every time during our nation's history when a crisis has occurred. And over the last year, manufacturers stepping forward, producing life-saving vaccines in the quickest time ever in history, or equipping our first responders and our healthcare workers, making sure our grocery stores have food and other types of goods, empowering our homes and businesses. But the amazing thing is how they've continued to do this. But really, the amazing thing to me is how so many manufacturers have retooled their facilities in this wartime-like effort, you know, going from making alcohol to hand sanitizer, or instead of making American flags, making masks and gowns. So to me, it's amazing how quickly these innovative companies have been able to kind of completely flip and start making products that we need in society today.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And you know, current headlines are ranging from strong manufacturing output to supply chain disruptions, the proposed American Jobs Plan and potential big investments in infrastructure and manufacturing. What's your view of manufacturing, say, over the next year?
I'm very optimistic. And, I think one of the things that the pandemic has taught us, Dave, is the value of a strong American manufacturing sector. And I think we're going to see companies are starting to realize that they had gone to this kind of lean, just-in-time type system. And I think you're going to see American manufacturers starting to bring some of their supply chain back home to the United States. And maybe as opposed to just having one or two suppliers with a certain product, maybe having 4 or 5. So in the event that one of those facilities is shut down for a reason, whether it's another pandemic or something else happens, that entire supply chain doesn't shut down. We've certainly seen this year and last year issues, whether it was the weather disrupting supply chains across the country, whether it was the chip issue and what it's doing with the auto sector right now, or even the canal being blocked for a period of time and the ability to find shipping containers and what that's done to supply chain. So again, in the last several months, we've seen several instances that have all upended the supply chain in some form or fashion. So I think manufacturers are really going to take a strong look at how they can fortify those supply chains and make sure that they're able to operate when the next event occurs.
Yeah, agreed. Very much so. Mark, it's a fun fact that in 1993, IMA wrote a book called Made in Illinois, a story of Illinois manufacturing, which was written more you gave me a copy when I first came to the state, but about the history and the rise of Illinois manufacturing. And by the way, I hope you have plenty of copies on hand because book sales might spike after this interview. But what is it about the history and maker tradition of Illinois that you find to be unique?
Well, we have a rich history, Dave, and the very first manufacturer in Illinois, actually before Illinois was a state, was 1702, a buffalo hide tannery down where kind of the Ohio and Wabash rivers meet in deep southern Illinois. And then you flash forward to today, and we have gears, for example, from Forest City Gears that are on Mars as we speak. And you think about how far the industry has come. And in the plethora and the variety we have, when manufacturers really first started here, it was really driven by agriculture. As settlers moved into the Illinois territory and region, we had great transportation with the rivers and other things, and manufacturers followed. And we certainly today, food is the number one manufacturing subsector in Illinois, but it's really expanded. We have such a diverse sector, whether it's heavy machinery or chemicals or steel or electronics, plastics, you name it, it's made in Illinois. And I think just the breadth and depth of what is made in the state of Illinois is truly amazing. And in manufacturing employees today, about 550,000 men and women on factory floors. We contribute the single largest share of the gross state product. So manufacturing continues to be a critical cog in Illinois' economy. And I think it will continue to be so moving forward.
Agreed, very much so. So here we are about 30 years later from when that book was written with a book called Made in Illinois, a modern playbook for manufacturers to compete and win, which is a book really about harnessing that maker tradition you speak of here in Illinois, and thinking about rebounding from the pandemic and setting this path forward with implementing best practices. Given your passion of manufacturing and your views of our history, and as they start to look forward, what advice do you give our manufacturers to navigate the changes, the opportunities, and the challenges ahead?
Well, it's a great question, and wish I had an easy answer. But I think the one thing, Dave, and congratulations on the book, is really adapting to new technology. Manufacturers today are truly moving at the speed of light. And when you think back that 30 or 40 years, the perception of manufacturing of dark, dirty, and dangerous, as you know, we both tour manufacturers on a regular basis. Today's manufacturers are high tech and automated, they're diverse, they're sustainable. And so number one, I think we have to do a better job about educating, whether it's teachers, counselors, students, about manufacturing, the great career opportunities. And then number two, taking advantage of the technology that's out there today. When you think about your cell phone in your hand, that literally you can control an entire manufacturing operation from a phone, and you can see how your processes are doing and performance. And so really, I think companies have to utilize that technology that's out there today. And companies continue to struggle to keep up with that. But I really think, the workforce challenge continues to be a top issue. And then number two, making sure that companies take advantage of the various technologies that are out there to keep moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your insights and appreciate all you do as a champion for manufacturing. Perhaps in approximately another 30 years, you and I can co-author a book, the next Made in Illinois book, to tell the story of this fantastic manufacturing state. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Dave, so much. And congratulations on a wonderful book. I enjoyed reading it. And again, all my best.
Well, we haven't started that future book yet, but no doubt there will be many more great stories to tell about Made in Illinois. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mike Laquarcio, Vice President of Supply Chain at Greenleaf Foods. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening. Glad to be here. An exciting time for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mike, you serve as you're on the IMEC board. During this process, you chimed in with thought leadership in the book, particularly around supply chain. And as you know, Made in Illinois explores competitive fronts where manufacturers can compete and win. A couple of those priority areas: leadership, productivity, supply chain. From your perspective, what should leaders be doing with their strategy and their plans right now?
My advice, if you're in manufacturing, part of what you suggested, what's in the book and what we heard from Mark, is you have to rethink your approach to the supply chain. You're going to have to re-engineer. And if you have a business continuity plan, you should dust it off, revisit it, and just see if it makes sense given what we think the future is going to be. We're going to be different. The supply chain was disrupted, and we either did really well or we all took a pause and said, we have some challenges. And how do we put continuous improvement projects in place to correct that for the future? Because something's going to happen again in the future. We hope nothing like COVID, but there will be future disruptions.
Yeah. Thank you. And how should we be thinking about technology investments and improving productivity? As manufacturers, how should we be thinking about technology?
I'm a big fan of technology. I'm sort of a business systems guy in background. I believe in big data, and we really need to be partnering with our customers and with our vendors on seamless, accelerated exchange of data, whether it's inventory or orders, those things that just make processes run better, faster, smarter, easier, more timely, accurate. We should make those investments on the shop floor. We should be thinking about, from a safety and ergonomics perspective, what can we do? What investments make us competitive?
Yeah, good. Good. And as you very well know, you're living it every day. Supply chains are a hot topic right now. You've touched on it in a couple of different ways. Just to ask a little differently, what should we be doing to make our supply chains more resilient? And maybe another angle to that is how should we think about being better suppliers?
I think it starts with a partnership with your vendors and your customers, and whether you believe in voice of the customer or some of those opportunities, but you need to be a great active listener. Your vendor needs to listen to you. You need to listen to your customer, and you need to link that all together. Really, what do we need to be successful? How can I help you as a vendor and supplier? And how can you help me as a vendor and supplier? How do we make this better for all of us?
Very good. Well, supply chains are business transactions. You do a great job of bringing in that personal element, that it still is about relationships and those connections. So thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate your strategic guidance as a board member and jumping in with book content as we went forward.
My pleasure. Great being part of this. Thank you, Dave.
Great. Thank you. And the whole IMEC team played a role in shaping the book. And I'd like to shift to talk to a couple of my IMEC colleagues. We have with us this evening Simone Erskine, Marketing Coordinator, and Ryan Langdon, the Regional Manager in the Metro East St. Louis area. Now, you two with your roles bring different vantage points in the work that you do. Simone, you're part of the team leading our marketing efforts and did incredible work getting information out during the pandemic. Ryan, serving as that trusted advisor for many manufacturers in your area. And I think we'd all agree we've been on quite a journey together this past year. So I'd like to hear your perspectives. As a contributing author to Made in Illinois and as a IMEC team member, what are you most proud of? And Simone, we'll start with you.
Sure. Well, I'm very proud to say that I am a part of a team that wrote a book, but not just any book. This book offers so much value to manufacturers and it'll benefit them for years to come. And also, I've had a pretty unique role in this book, right? As a content curator, I got to see the individual components in their own light, full of insights that help manufacturers to address a specific concern. But then I got to see all these small pieces of content come together to form a full body of knowledge with actionable steps. And I'm just really happy and proud to have had the opportunity to see Made in Illinois develop from the ground up.
Yeah, so we had the 116 versions I said earlier on, and yeah, you saw every single one of those along the way, I think. Ryan, how about from your perspective?
I'm just so impressed that over the last year with the interesting, if you want to put a positive spin on it, interesting times that we went through, that we were able to accomplish this. You know, if you look back at the some of the professional and personal obstacles that we all had to overcome, both our clients and internally here, you know, we really had to lean on one of our core values, which is collaboration, to get this completed, right? Sprinkle on a little bit of learning and agility in there as well, right? It was quite an impressive feat. I think it was also impressive that while we were doing this work for the book, it's a little bit analogous to the core work that we also performed, that we were part of our mission, right, to help the clients navigate their way through the pandemic as we went through. So I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, very good. And building on that a little bit, and I'll start with you, Ryan. What did you see and experience during the pandemic that is a lesson learned for leaders to remember in the future?
You know, I think it's that focus on agility. Over the past year, definitely, hopefully an anomaly with the amount of agility that we've had to have. But, you know, if you look at recent past and how manufacturers have had to be responsive and flexible and agile, it's a little bit different than if you look back a decade ago, right? Where you could set forth a 7 to 10 year vision pretty confidently and come up with a 3 to 5 year strategic plan and be pretty comfortable that was going to be your set direction. But you know, in recent times with all the disruption and Mark talked about it as well with technology disruption, things like that, it's just, you know, the norm now is having to be agile and be able to change on the fly, right? So you know, I think that pretty much sums it up. You know, if you think of the 12 to 14 months ago, you know, I don't think many manufacturers would have had it in their mind that they had to worry about things like industrial hygiene and advanced PPE and thermal scanning at entrances. You know, we even partnered with one of our key resources to help manufacturers put in decontamination and sanitization protocols, right? So the amount of agility that's had to be adopted so quickly, I think is kind of a story of the year.
Yeah, and I remember that first call you gave me about sanitation and decontamination. I said, hey, there's something we need to address here. So yeah, appreciate that. Simone, from your perspective, lessons learned for leaders to remember in the future.
Oh man, so many lessons were learned. But I agree with Ryan. I think one of the biggest lessons learned is the importance of being agile and the need to be prepared for worst case scenarios. You know, we always think like, oh, that or this will never happen to me. But nobody thought the whole world was going to literally stop in 2020, but it did. And so I think the big lesson here is that we have to be prepared for the unthinkable, whether that's through risk management, having a business continuity plan in place, or adopting technology and processes that will withstand those disruptions. I think another thing that we learned was that, you know, it's okay to try new things. We know that different scenarios, different situations call for different approaches, and that there is no one size fits all solution. So we have to approach challenges with an open mind, the right intentions, and give yourself permissions to fail and try again quickly. But I think the big cherry on top for last year is that we really got to see how resilient our manufacturers truly are. They know how to shift operations. They know how to adapt. They did what needed to be done to keep their workers safe while maintaining operations and still find a way to help the community and fellow manufacturers in whatever capacity they could. They could have easily chosen to shut down, but they didn't. Instead, they chose to learn how to adapt and they came out on top. So.
Good. I appreciate both of you sharing some insights and importantly, along with our colleagues for bringing our mission to life each and every day. Thank you. This book also includes interviews to ground the writing with perspectives from manufacturing leaders. Kathy Ramsey is Vice President of Global Human Resources at G&W Electric. Kathy, we interviewed you for the book. And as you know, Made in Illinois is a book that's broken into 3 parts: people, performance, and mindset. People is a separate section. It's weaved throughout. And your interview really caught my attention because of your passion that came through about workforce and talent. And as you know, manufacturing, finding qualified workers, the skills gap has been a hot topic for years. What are the current challenges for finding and retaining talented workforce?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. It's not getting any easier. As any of us in manufacturing know, there are far more jobs than there are candidates available. I kind of looked at this question in 2 parts because at the heart of it, G&W is a manufacturing firm that designs custom equipment. So we also have a technical component to what we do. The pool for the operations manufacturing floor-based personnel, it just isn't there as it has been in the past. There's lots of factors that contribute to that. Certainly the economics and unemployment, our wages, our benefits, how individuals now define a good job with salary and benefits and what some of the expectations are. 5 years ago, we were able to find experienced assemblers or welders or people with fabrication skills, and that those talents just aren't there anymore. That the craft development has really fallen by the wayside. We now look for employees or candidates that have the attitude and willingness to learn. Do they have the right attitude to bring to our facility? Do they have a willingness to learn new things? It's harder to find those individuals, but a lot easier to train. So we've taken a perspective of building the talent we need. We invest in apprentice programs to build the skills we need. We have rotational programs. We have a very large, deep internship program in some of our craft areas and on the technical side. We use TWI, training within industry methodology, so that we can be safe and have a replicable process on the plant floor. Our business, as it's grown, has moved from kind of a one-off to more of an assembly line. So we're also struggling with really having 2 methods of production, managing both of those. Individuals now have different career expectations. We're having faster turnover. We're having people that want to try different things more quickly. People want a different work-life balance. COVID has now taught us that we can all work really effectively from home when technology allows it. And people now are struggling with why they really have to come back to the office. Manufacturers are generally office-centric because they support the floor. So we've got that to worry about. On the technical side, we look for very specific engineering talent. We're expanding globally. So we had some M&A activity. We bought a company in Italy. The pandemic hit. We had no employer brand. We had no ability to tap into the workforce. We were 18 months looking for people to join our R&D function there. We looked at 68 different companies using 22 different sourcing methodologies. We looked at over 3,000 CVs to get a pool of 330 people that we had to work really hard to get a candidate. So happy to announce that as of tonight, we've had our first hire into the R&D. 18 months, it's a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. And by the way, your passion on the workforce topic comes through loud and clear this evening. So thank you for that. And given the challenge to find workers, what are some ways to expand our thinking and expand the way we bring in our talent pool?
This one is pretty exciting for me. So we've done lots of different things and we've tried lots of things. We're looking at career ladders and career lattices, so different ways people can move up and around the organization. We're trying to fully utilize technology. So we're recently introducing recruiting and applications versus texting so that there's a quicker response rate from candidates and they find it easier to communicate with us. But the one that we're pretty excited about is our partnership with the autism workforce and the STEP program. We're really going all out into expanding our workforce in the neurodiverse area. So we currently have 5 autistic individuals that are performing superbly for us. We've taken one of our micro switch assembly cells and had it organized so that our autistic individuals can be very successful there. We've had a success story, and after 3 days of operation, that cell with our new neurodiverse workforce was outperforming our other production records by weeks. So it's just working for us very, very nicely. We have a calibration apprentice. The individual happens to be a U of I mechanical engineering grad, and based on his particular neurodiverse characteristics, he had a very difficult time being successful through an interview process. So our partnership with autism, they came in and they helped us understand how best to understand someone's skills and capabilities. They prepared us to interview and accept those individuals in very role specific and capability specific areas. It's had a huge added benefit for us to engage our workforce. We've had employees come forward and say, it's great to work at a place that is welcoming to individuals that have handicap, using, again, their words to us. They volunteered to support, mentor, and partner with these individuals. They're bringing in their family members and asking, I have a son, I have a child, I have a cousin, could they be part of your program? So it's really engaged our workforce in a way we never thought was possible. So we're trying to be pretty creative. We're actually looking at an intern who is legally blind. So we're really trying to tap into parts of the workforce that may have been represented in manufacturing in the past.
Well, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate not only that passion, but your demonstration of that dogged persistence on trying to find solutions to the so-called skills gap and the work that we have to find a talented workforce. I'd like to now open up a few questions for everybody. And so with that, if Simone and Ryan, I think I'd like to start with you. And because of your unique vantage point in seeing so many manufacturers, and I also know you're both pretty diligent readers. What makes this book different? And Simone, how about we start with you?
Sure. I think this book is unique in that it isn't written by just one person. It contains a wealth of knowledge from different perspectives. You have the interviews with manufacturing leaders, sharing the peer-to-peer knowledge. And the manufacturers, they can see themselves in these interviews. They can see the challenges that they're dealing with from a different point of view. And then you have the industry experts giving real-time call to action with things that you can do now to address the issues that you're having right now. And this is a working book. It's not just a book that you read and put back on the shelf and pick up again later on. It's, you keep working through the strategies in it. And lastly, it's written in a practical way with very specific and real challenges, as well as strategies and best practices being used now that are producing results.
You're showing your evidence that you read all 116 drafts of the book with all those insights. Thank you, Simone. That's great. Ryan, any additional thoughts?
I think a couple. There's a lot of books in the manufacturing space that cover things like tools and methodologies, culture, organizational design. You can go on and on. And I think if you look at the book and the realization that people are the ones that make the difference at these organizations, right? It's building the skill set and the knowledge base of individuals so that they can go do the good work to make organizational objectives a reality. So I think it's no mystery that the bookends of the book are people and mindset, right? It's just so important. So I think it meshes that world together on how good people get those business system and process improvements in place. And the other thing, touching on Simone's point, this is the voice of the customer in all throughout the book. Right? These are business leaders who are giving their insights on these different topics and, how they went about implementing the struggles they went through how to overcome some of those challenges. And so I think it makes it extremely relatable, and it resonates with small and medium-sized manufacturers, where some other books might be a little bit more academic and theoretical. This is more real world and kind of in line with their day-to-day reality.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Mike, let me start with you on this this next question. So, this book is intended to spur action. What are some ways the book can be used to foster peer interaction or learning?
Love the question, Dave. So, personally, I use reference materials as a technical source. So absolutely, this should be on someone's shelf as a reference. I would tell you in sort of a team environment, it should be a learning tool. You should take excerpts from it and with your teams, challenge them, saying, hey, here's an idea. Can we do this? And it's a guide. I mean, it's a great reference in Playbook, and it also reinforces you're not alone in this. Think differently. People are offering advice. This is just a great way to challenge your assumptions, challenge your paradigms about how you run your business.
Good, very good. And we're going to move into another question here. And Kathy, we're going to start this one with you. This is the tough question of the night, which is, a lot of books are turned into movies.
Oh.
So who would you cast into the movie version of Made in Illinois, and what would be the plot line?
Okay, so this was actually, we had a discussion in my office. This was a exciting thing for us to answer. So Tom Hanks would be the star of my movie in manufacturing, because he's really America's everyman. There's nothing that this guy has not done. He saved Private Ryan. He's grown up overnight. He's landed airplanes on the water. He has saved his crew from pirates. He's romanced Meg Ryan. He's run really fast and really far. He's been a spy. He's gone swimming with mermaids. He's played a female. All of those things are what's available to somebody in manufacturing. You can do anything you want. You can be anyone you want. You have to be flexible, agile, resistant, but you can do whatever you want. And just as he has done, we kind of thought he was our manufacturing hero.
Excellent, excellent. Ryan, how about you?
I mean, I think we start with Bradley Cooper could play me, and then maybe everything else out from there. I don't know. I don't think this is a star-studded cast, right? I think if you look at the world I live in, Southern Illinois, it's just common people that get up every day and grind it out. I think, Made in Illinois, the book is basically the story of Illinois manufacturers, right? It's them grinding it out. And, I think about, I'll be on site at a manufacturer tomorrow in southeastern Illinois, and in their war room, they call it, it says we set goals and we smash them. And so that's kind of the theme of the Southern Illinois manufacturer. And so yeah, it's not a star-studded cast. It's just common people that get things done in extraordinary ways. So
great, very good. Mike, how about yourself?
I love the Tom Hanks analogy. That was wonderful. I'm going to go with a cast from Apollo 13. And I think about the entire effort from the person who puts a bolt into the capsule to the hidden figures who do the math on orbit trajectory, and everyone that rose to the challenge when that event happened and succeeded. And they did it by collaboration. One goal, smash the goal. Just an amazing feel-good story.
And Simone?
Well, this movie would be a little bit different. Definitely not necessarily star-studded. It would be a documentary. The cast would be everyday people, and Neil deGrasse Tyson would be the narrator. Now, the plot, I would have it show the evolution of Illinois manufacturing, just basically breaking down the myths about the industry being dirty, dull, and dangerous, and really just highlight how important manufacturing is, not just for the cool products and processes, but really just show show the impact that manufacturers have on our communities and the economy.
Well, at least I'm ready with several pitches with when Netflix calls. And admittedly, I didn't have the creative bug for me. It was some sort of action movie or something to do with zombies. So I'm glad you, four of you came up with some great thoughts. Kathy, we do have a question from Facebook, going back to one of your earlier comments. So I'd like to go ahead and answer that before we move on. And it's just the question is, can you say again the autism group you are working with?
Autism Workforce. And
Very
it's in
good.
Illinois, and it's a part, IMEC hooked us all up with that. So it's a great, and I'm happy, anybody can reach out to me and we're happy to have additional conversation about it. The STEP program is in Bolingbrook, and it's about kids who may not have a college career and had very, very difficult, well, not very, but challenging high school time because of different kinds of learning challenges. We have a nice partnership with them as well.
Very good. Very good. Excellent comments and insights here. And we got one more question for you. And we'll go a bit of rapid fire on your answers. But to set this up, I often go for walks or hikes to just kind of clear my mind. During these walks, oftentimes I'll do thought exercises. And I certainly did more than a few on the potential value of this book. And we have a target to get 1,000 copies out as soon as possible. And I imagine these books, these 1,000 books, get into companies' hands, and each company implements three new ideas in the next 3 to 6 months. 3,000 new sparks, 3,000 new improvements, and then we get another 3,000, and then another 3,000, all leading to more investments, cost savings, productivity, new business, growing jobs. And we can be confident that these sparks would ignite competing and winning and nurturing made in Illinois. And that's how I've been thinking about these books. So with that in mind, just kind of quickly go around here on your final words. Why is this book so important for manufacturers to read and work through right now? Mike, let's go ahead and start with you.
I'd like to think of where we are is a do-over. And the thing I love about the book is it's real life, made in Illinois, small to mid-sized manufacturers rolling up their sleeves and saying, this is how you can do it. I'm one of you, you're one of us. Here's a playbook. Please run a few plays. I'll guarantee you're going to score. And then run some more, to your point, Dave. This is a chance to be different. We should take advantage of it.
Good. Kathy.
I really like that, set goals and smash them. And I think the book helps you do that. We learn best at G&W by really sharing best practices. Why create something that someone's already has done that? So to really go through there and get that actionable issues from there, we intend to have our summer interns read this book, give it to the high school counselors we interact with, the community college career placements, to again kind of grow that excitement and variability and profitable career you can have in manufacturing. It's not the way it used to be. So,
Ryan, why is this book important for manufacturers to read right now?
I think from two standpoints, right? I don't think that stagnation is the way to go, right? Continuous improvement and a focus on operational excellence is going to be an imperative with all the challenges that manufacturers have to go through on a typical year and a typical day. There's no more avoiding it. And it's so much more approachable now than it ever has been. So many tools and things out there that are applicable to small and medium-sized manufacturers. And so they're easy to follow, simple enough to implement, right? And they're in the book, and there's no reason to just not get started. And the other piece is that, manufacturers that are extremely busy, and workforce issues compound this, that everybody's so busy with the tactical and day-to-day. I think leaders need to take some time, leaf through the book to lift them up to that proper level of elevation so that they can get a good look at the organization to make sure that those business systems and structures are in place to handle that growth, as they move ahead. And I think the book gives them that nice viewpoint.
Simone, the last words with you.
Well, I think it's important to read right now because it offers insights and a blueprint to handle the scenarios that they're currently dealing with. We know that disruptions and challenges are going to continue to emerge, and this is really a cheat sheet to prepare organizations to not only overcome new and existing challenges, but to really thrive and build towards global competitiveness. Like we have the answers in the book.
Excellent. Kathy, Mike, Ryan, Simone, thank you so much for your insights, your time tonight. Thank you for being a part of Made in Illinois. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Dave.
And now it's free book moment, the release of the first books. We've randomly selected 4 names from tonight's attendees to receive a free copy. And the winners are Joe Marks at Danville Metal Stamping, Greg Broshka from Kempner Products, Cecilia Rakowitz from Guardian Electric, and Brenda Robles with Trimtex. Congratulations, enjoy, and put those books to work. Thank you for joining our book launch celebration. It's also been about celebrating our manufacturing heritage and our next phase of manufacturing excellence. Completing a book is a sense of accomplishment with so many to thank. And it starts with the manufacturers who we work with and learn from. This is truly your story. The IMEC team, you're simply incredible and incredibly talented. Thank you. A special call out to Jordan Shawhan, who served as our taskmaster to bring this book to conclusion and helped us work through all the final details in the end. Christy Johns, strongly committed from the first moment that I said, hey, let's write a book. So thank you both. The IMEC board for your thought leadership and support over the years. The manufacturing leaders on our board, our universities, the University of Illinois at Chicago, Northern Illinois, Southern Illinois, and Bradley University, as well as U.S. Department of Commerce Manufacturing Extension Partnership. There's so many champions and partners to thank as well, local, regional, state, and national, who have been pivotal in supporting us over the years. Finally, K&L Storytellers and Fig Factor Media for your expertise to also help bring this book home and launch tonight. And Total Printing Systems from Newton, Illinois, because this book is truly made in Illinois. While the book is a huge accomplishment, it is only the beginning for you to read, use, and act upon what lies between the pages. You can purchase the book on Amazon, and you'll have a follow-up email with details. And also talk with our team, our local regional managers and tech specialists. Let us help make the book insights relevant and useful for you and your company as you make it in Illinois. Thank you, and have a great evening.